Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Basement Boys Podcast, Episode 7. I am Chris Gray. That is Devin Mitchell,
Yo.
not Michelangelo, Raphael, or the like.
Nah, but we rocking the turtles, man. Turtle power.
All right, let's just jump into it real quick. Only live sports that's happening that's not in fucking South Korea. UFC 249 went off with pretty much without a hitch. I mean, they did find one fighter with COVID-19, Hinaldo Jacare Souza. I love saying his name.
Good job, because I was going to butcher that.
Oh yeah, Jacare is the alligator or the crocodile, one of them.
Chomp. Chomp. Chomp.
Yeah, but so him, and a few members of his team tested positive. But the official release from the UFC says that they came in, they gave each fighter like an interview to see what exactly was going on, like how much of a risk they were. I guess he told the UFC that he had been around someone COVID positive, but had not had any symptoms. Everyone was getting tested every day, from what I hear, and they caught it. Apparently, right when they told him that he had been around, or right when he had told them that he had been around a COVID positive person, they like sequestered him into his own wing of the hotel just to be extra safe until the test results came back. And again, if you're going to do it, at least we knew the system worked for the most part. There were a couple times where he seemed a little close contact, but he had an N95 on, so hopefully that saved people. And again, they were getting tested every morning. If someone was going to test positive, at least it didn't happen where the person ended up in the fight and then 2 days later, now his opponent has to be worried and everyone in the corner and everything like that. The person he was fighting almost definitely would have gotten it.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, props to the UFC for handling it and having the parameters, the steps in place so that they could protect that fighter, all the other fighters, all the trainers, so that it's only a small number of people and you're not spreading it to your whole card and all the other hundreds of people they also come in contact with.
The one thing I don't like about it is everyone's starting to call this like, oh, the blueprint for how live sports can come back on. And I think it's the blueprint for small organizations, not small in the course of money, but to the fact of like how many people they employ.
Right.
You could do this with the UFC. I don't see you doing it with the NFL.
Well, how many people do you think are on a fighter's team? You got your head trainer, maybe your assistant trainer, and maybe a couple security dudes, and that's it. You're looking at probably less than 10 people that travel with him. NFL team, just on the roster alone, you're looking at 53 men on the final roster, plus all the coaches, plus all the coaches' assistants,
and the equipment managers, and anything like that.
Yeah, you said it right. On a small scale, when you're operating with maybe 10 or so people, this works. But when you're operating with, hundreds of staff members upon hundreds, that's not going to work.
And even on the production side of things.
Oh yeah, we didn't even touch them.
It's a smaller amount of people because the space in which they are fighting is much smaller than a football field or something. So they don't need 17 cameras on each sideline to make sure they get a good shot of all the action and all that kind of stuff. If you watched their embeddeds leading up, they were setting things up with a third of the amount of people in at a time, where normally they'd have all these people in at once. They would have the stage guys come in for 2 hours and get some stuff done, and then the lighting guys come in for 2 hours and get some stuff done, and something like that. I don't know if that's exactly how they broke it up, but in that sense, so they were only operating at like a third capacity at any time. Again, everyone going in and out was getting tested. I don't think you could do the same thing with a lot more of these organized sports.
No.
But I mean, I guess we're going to find out eventually. So, but
Hey.
moving on to what actually happened in the fights.
Ding ding.
All around great fight card. Every single fight I watched from 6:30 when it started to when it ended. Everything was great. I don't think I could really sit there and say any fight was bad.
Right.
There were some that didn't live up to some of the others, but that's about the worst I can say. Starting from the bottom and just going up from how I like the fights. It was sad to see Sam Alvey lose, but it's always sad to see Sam Alvey lose. But he's getting a little older. And that guy Spann looked real good. Bryce Mitchell's going to be a problem. The fact that he can just fall into the twister like that.
Mm-hmm.
Only one other person in the UFC has pulled off a twister in the 25 years they've been going, or 27 since 1993.
Damn.
So he hit it once, and the guy just kind of powered through and got out. And then he would fall into that position right off the takedown. It was incredible to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The mastery he has over that position and the elbows he was landing while trying to fish for the head were disgusting. Moving up the card a little more, we had, I'm trying to remember what orders these were all in. Luque Price, Vicente Luque and Nico Price, that was an incredible fight. Definitely would have been fight of the night, in my opinion, if it wasn't headlined by Ferguson Gaethje. Because I don't think I could think of a better matchup than Ferguson Gaethje. But just insane fight. Both guys looked killer. Nico Price's eye is grotesque. That's one of the fights where when it's stopped by cuts, you're just like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you're going to need to be able to see it later on, so we're doing this for your safety.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one. There was like three. There was above the like on the eyebrow, like right below the eye, and then another one down even farther. And they were all had to be an inch and a half long. Yeah. Like, brother, like, I know he didn't like it, but
that's a problem if you don't get that fixed, you know. So refs just doing what they got to do and protecting their fighters.
I think he's gonna look back and be like, you know what, I'm like, in maybe not right now, but in like 2-3 years, and be like, you know what, the damage I would have taken off that probably wouldn't have been worth it.
Oh yeah.
Moving up the card, still Michelle Waterson versus Carla Esparza. I had it scored for Waterson, but I'm also a huge Waterson fan. I do like Esparza as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that was one of those fights that whoever they named the victor, I would have accepted it. It was just that close of a fight. But what I don't get is the judging on that. Each fighter had a 30-27 recorded by one of the judges. So Carla Esparza had won. According to one judge, Carla Esparza won the fight where she won all 3 rounds and Michelle lost all 3 rounds. And then according to another judge in the same fight, they had it that Michelle won all 3 rounds and Carla lost all 3 rounds. And I don't know how you could do that to, like, I don't, especially how the fight went out. I had the first 2 rounds for Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had to give her the first round. And then I think you had to give Carla the third. But so, and it's the second where I felt like it got a little more murky.
Right.
Or am I getting the first and second mixed up? Sorry, these were a lot of fights, and I watched all of them, and I got ready for it by watching old fights. So I got a lot of fights in my head right now.
But either way, what you're saying is that Carla won one fight. I'm on one round. Ooh, tongue twister. Michelle won another round, and then that third round could have gone either way. Is what you're basically saying, right?
Yeah, depending on what you value more.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's an argument to be made for both. But a lot of people didn't think that was as exciting an exciting fight. I think you're crazy. I think that was a great fight. It was just surrounded by absolute bangers.
So like if it stood on its own, great fight, hands down, no questions asked. But being surrounded and sandwiched in between all these other great fights, it kind of gets lost, is what you're saying, right?
I think it was the fight after the Luque Price fight, if I remember correctly, and then it was the fight before the Cerrone Pettis fight.
Okay.
So you lost there.
Yeah.
Moving on, Cerrone Pettis, obviously lived up to the hype. Those two guys, they're getting older now, so they're not. I feel like they're getting more willing to just be like, fuck it, and like what happens happens.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to think about the longevity of it as much, even though I'm not sure Cowboy ever really did think of the longevity. He's always kind of been like this.
Say, from the little I know and the little I've read, Cowboy seems the kind of dude that's going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. I don't care. I don't need to train. Give me 24 hours. I'm good. I'll be good.
Oh, yeah. He just wants to fight. He was saying if he won this fight, he wanted to fight tonight.
Damn.
And then fight again on Saturday if it was possible. So, like, he just wants to fight.
Talk about a quick turnaround.
I felt like that was another pretty close fight. I'm not upset they gave it to Pettis. I am upset they gave it to Pettis in the fact that this is Cowboys' fourth loss in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only think of maybe one or two other times where he even slid down 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he lost 4 hurts a little bit. I'm sure it kills him, especially after everything that happened in the Conor fight. But again, all around great fight. Greg Hardy. I feel like luck's out a lot, man. I feel like he gets these guys that are overhyped, or I think this DeCastro guy like broke his foot or something, so he couldn't really throw because not even for kicks, like you have to pivot off that foot to really throw a good punch. But I feel like the foot break also hampered that ability, but also just made him more tentative because his foot was broken. So it didn't really impress me, but got the win.
Is Hardy a heavyweight?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
he's a big boy. I'm trying to remember who was after that.
Stevens and
Jeremy Stevens, Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar is looking scary. Jeremy Stevens is no joke. Came out like a bat out of hell, going nuts, like he always does. And there's a lot of cuts that night because he got a real bad one himself.
Did he?
Oh yeah, but at the finish he was leaking by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Another great fight. Then move on to Ngannou Rosenstruik. Rosenstruik got what he asked for, but I don't think it was
the results he was looking for.
Yeah, Francis Ngannou is so scary, man. And the scariest part about it is he didn't fight him. He went up, lined up, and then just bum rushed him, throw in as many punches as he could, hit 2 maybe, but all he needed was that one to land, and he was out cold. Cold. and then took some more on the ground. But there was no technique. There was no footwork. There was absolutely no nothing. He just said, hey, I have a good chin. I don't care if you have a good chin because I hit that hard. Just walked right into him, throwing as many punches as he could. As long as one of them landed, he was going to win, and he knew it. And that's what he did. And that's what's scary to me. You cannot back up on the center line on this guy.
Right.
You have to angle off, and if you do not angle off, you are going to sleep. And that's all this fight proved to me.
Night, get the blanket. It's sleepy time.
Because Ngannou does have a good chin as well. He's taken some big shots.
Right.
Even when he was exhausted against Stipe, he was still eating shots, and he went right through it. So, yeah, he's going to be a real problem, especially because he is getting better in his technique. He is getting better in his cardio. I feel like the Stipe loss humbled him a little bit and made him reevaluate and think, hey, you know, if I want this belt, I got to do all the right things. And it seems like he has been.
I feel like that makes a fighter even more dangerous when sounds like their raw, unfiltered talent is, you know, hey, I'm just going to throw as many rights, lefts as I can, and I'll make you go to sleep. Oh, wait, now I'm going to go back, work on my technique, and then add some other skills and other things that will also make you go to sleep.
Just facilitate the sleep easier, I guess.
Yes. Like I said, night, sleep tight, get the blanket ready.
Then moving on to Cejudo Cruz. Cruz, man, I don't care how long he has to take off, how many injuries he gets. He came back looking great. He was quick. His side-to-side movement was just great. I feel like Pete Cruz was a little slicker with it, but he, for his age, for the injuries, and just really like watching his movement as everything was going on. And I think one of the tweets they had on the side even said it. Mm-hmm. I understand why he tore both ACLs, and I understand why his feet are bad and everything like that. Because the way
did he tore both ACLs in that match?
Not in the match.
Oh, okay.
Just he has done it in the past.
Oh, okay.
It's just the way he starts and stops and goes side, back, forward. Like, it's got to put some stress on your legs.
Mm-hmm.
It's very effective, but it
takes a lot out of your legs.
Yeah. Cejudo, his striking just gets better and better, in my opinion, ever since the Demetrius Johnson loss.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a gold medal winning wrestler, so his ground game has always been quite solid, but he didn't even need any of it. He was really landing some great shots on Cruz. Cruz was landing as well, not quite as frequently. And just that knee that to start the ending sequence, I thought it was beautiful. Right when he ducked in, because even Cruz was like, Cruz can wrestle. He wrestled in some form in college. I don't think he ever finished college, but I know he did wrestle. I don't know how big the school was. I don't remember.
Right.
But so he was faking going low, and Cruz Cejudo just brought the knee, hit flush, and sent him to the ground. That's where that's where the controversy starts, because a lot of people think it was an early stoppage, and I think it was an early stoppage for the sole fact that there was 2 seconds left in the round. I think he was doing enough to give him that 2 seconds to end the round and like live to see another day.
Yeah.
I think if this happened at 2 minutes 30 seconds into that round, I wouldn't hate it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was eating a lot of shots. He was trying to work back to his feet, but he was eating a lot of shots. He wasn't really defending himself super well. Again, he was trying to get back up, but I don't think he was having that much success. And I feel like the same thing with the Dillashaw stoppage. When Henry when he gets you down on all fours almost, where the person's almost giving their back, the way he kind of leans in to hold you down while he's throwing the shots, I feel like it makes you look more compromised than you are.
Yeah.
Just like the angle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like rewatching the Dillashaw fight and then watching the Cruz ending, it was kind of similar in how they were splayed, and it was because Cejudo just had all his weight into their back and just kind of had them like sprawled out a little more. I don't think it was the worst stoppage in the world. I've seen people stopped for less.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that it was 2 seconds left in the round, or 2-3 seconds, whatever it was.
You would have preferred it just to finish the round off and then make the decision after the bell.
I think Cruz was doing enough to deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cejudo goes and retires right after the fight. A lot of people don't know how serious he is. I can see it. According to Dana White, he said he was thinking about it before. I've heard him say little things that make me feel that way.
Yeah.
And he's been wrestling since he was a kid. He said he was cutting weight since he was 11.
Ooh.
And he said he's just sick of cutting weight, and I can completely understand that.
Yeah, I don't blame the homie. I mean, also, not a bad way to go out. You're the champion of the bantamweights. Like you said, you've defeated... Flyweight, I'm sorry.
No, both.
Oh. So, two-time champion. I mean, two-division champion. He's knocked out or won handful of the best in each division.
He's beaten Demetrius Johnson, which I always tell Devin he looks like the 6-foot version of Demetrius Johnson. He's beaten who is the best flyweight of all time, unless you're saying Henry Cejudo, which I think you have an argument. And Demetrius Johnson might be the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's beaten TJ Dillashaw and Dominic Cruz, the two people that are the only ones really in the argument for best bantamweight of all time, and he's stopped both of them. He has an Olympic gold medal. He 2-weight world champion. He is the best combat sports athlete of all time. Maybe not the best MMA fighter of all time, but the best combat sports athlete.
Yeah.
In a nutshell of all time.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, what better way to go out than, as potentially the best combat sport athlete of all time? I mean, what else is there for him?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what he said. Like, what else does he have to prove? I completely agree.
Gold medal is enough to make people be like, all right, I tip my hat off to you. But, like, knocking out, Johnson, Cruz, Dillashaw as well, 2-weight class champion, like, come on.
Dillashaw,
I'm sorry. I'm getting there.
No, you're getting better. You are. I'll give it to you. And then moving on to the main event. Yeah. Not the way I thought it was going to go. Gaethje is really stepping into his own as a fighter. I feel like you've seen him draw back from it in his last couple fights, but I feel like in this one, he really took a step back from the put your hands up, walk into the guy's chest, just firing bombs mentality that he used to have, because he was playing distance. He was taking steps back. He was fighting smart and not fighting
fast,
hard, I guess.
Yeah.
Not that he wasn't. He was still fighting like Justin Gaethje. Like, he was not tentative at all. He was throwing his shots when he found them, but he was letting the fight come to him a little more than just
instead of going head first into the punches, right?
Right. Not that he was unwilling to eat shots. Not that he still hasn't lost what makes Justin Gaethje Justin Gaethje.
Mm-hmm.
But he's honed it in to a level that is much more sustainable. And I feel like he needed to be this version of Justin Gaethje to beat on Ferguson like he did, and he really did. Ferguson looked a little slow. I don't think that weight cut like 3 weeks ago was probably the best idea for him.
Yeah.
But he's still Tony Ferguson, and God, does that man have a chin and an iron fucking will. Because the shots, he was eating the shots that put down Mike Vick. He was not Mike Vick, James Vick. I always do that. He was eating the shots that have put down a lot of other people. Eating the shots that put down Barboza. He was eating everything in the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
And still got TKO'd from his feet, which is just incredible to me that he still didn't go down. Both of the guys, fucking Hearts of the Warriors, like that was an incredible fight. Justin Gaethje like dethroned an 8-year winning streak. Tony Ferguson hasn't lost in 8 years.
That's
2012.
Impressive. 2012, I remember that fondly.
I was 19.
24, there we go. Sorry, math is hard.
But yeah, just an all-around great card. One of the probably the best card I've ever seen. And I honestly thought it was kind of cool having the no fans there, being able to hear every little thing. You could hear the corners, you could hear them breathe, you could hear every grunt they made when they took a big punch. Like, I'm not sure if this is how I'd like it every time, because sometimes I like the crowds and sometimes the crowds annoy me.
Right.
But all in all, went off better than we could have expected. Maybe not the best, because one fighter did pop, but not the best ever, I'm saying, because one fighter did test positive for COVID-19. But all in all, I thought it was great. I think they did what they needed to do.
So I guess it's safe to say I can finally trust Whitey now.
Yeah, he made it happen. And they're making it happen again tonight.
Boom! Turn around.
Yeah, just touching on the fights tonight. We talked about them a little bit. Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira, main event tonight. I definitely think Anthony Smith takes this one. Glover is getting older. Not that he's still not a great fighter, and that it is a little bit of an older division. The younger guys are starting to come up. It's not as bad as heavyweight, but it's close.
Mm-hmm.
I think Glover needs this fight to prove that he's still there. And if he doesn't get it, he might want to reconsider his career. And hey, if he wants to be a guy that just is not going to be fighting for the belt if he loses this one, I get it. And like, if he wants to keep fighting, do his thing, that's fine, if the UFC will let him. But I just think with his age, I feel like this, if he's got another run in him, it's going to be now.
Yeah.
But I do think Alex Smith gets it done.
Alex Smith?
Alex Smith.
Not that Alex Smith. Different Alex Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, not that Alex Smith.
I was about to be like, yo, there's no way he could fight. I saw his bones.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anthony Smith. What am I fucking saying, dude? I'm doing bad with the names today. I fucking called him Alex Smith. I just rewatched the E60. I think that's why.
It's all good.
Anthony Smith. Hey, at least it was an A. I got close. We got close.
Yeah, you got better than me.
Ugh. And then the co-main event on the card is Ben Rothwell versus Ovince St. Preux, who I thought it was kind of a big size difference, but seeing them at the weigh-ins, the way Owens has a little more weight on him, I really thought Rothwell was going to tower over him, but I guess Owens is a bigger guy than I thought he was. So I definitely think this could be a very interesting fight. Again, Ben's a little older, and I think if he's gonna do something, it's gonna be now. So he'd have to win this fight, but I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's getting back up there. And Owens is tricky, man. He really is. He's got a weird style. He made John Jones look human for a night. I mean, got dominated by him, but you could tell John was having a little more trouble picking apart the puzzle than he did for other guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm very excited for that. I actually don't know what time that goes on tonight, but is what it is.
Damn it, I just had it too. Prelims start at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Main card 9 p.m. ESPN Plus. This is not at all a sponsorship thing or anything like that. We're not promoting that.
Yeah.
I just have to make that clear.
Ain't no one paying us money for shit. All right. Anyway,
Not yet.
Last little bit of fighting news, the news everybody wants, because it's the only person anyone fucking cares about. Any of you casuals anyway care about. It's Conor McGregor decides, I guess, got a little excited with the fights being back and decided to call out fucking everyone.
Hey, listen, he got a little bored of making whiskey, needs to take a break from it, get his mind right. So what's he gonna do? I'm calling out everybody. Everyone from Diaz, Gagey, Khabib.
Dustin Poirier, Khabib. And then once he cleans out that little fun fest of group right there, he's moving up to 170 and trying to get a third belt. So he seems to be back in vigor. Like, he seems to have found his love for fighting again. I don't know if everything he's saying right here is exactly going to come to fruition, but he seems to be more interested in fighting than he was a year ago, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he keeps on this path that he keeps saying he's on, where he's saying, you know what, I want to get back to training, I want to get back to being disciplined, and that I was just like, I let the fame and everything get to my head for a little while there. And I hope to see it, because I think Conor Gaethje would be a fun fight. I think seeing that Conor is the only person to really ever take a round from Khabib, even a round. And the fact that he says he was doing all these things. He was partying. He wasn't training the way he wanted to. He would just disappear for 3 days in the middle of training camp just because he didn't want to deal with it. So I hope he is trying to come back and do it the right way, because when he's on, he's on. And what he did to Eddie Alvarez is no joke.
Right.
And Dustin Poirier put it up. Dustin Poirier said to him, like, in response to all these tweets he was putting out, "You've had one fight at lightweight. Sit down," or something like that, or "shut up." And I thought about it, and he's only fought two times at lightweight.
Who was that against?
Eddie Alvarez and then Khabib.
Ooh.
And both of those were title fights. That's incredible to me. The Conor McGregor machine is monstrous.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the real big fighting news we have for you. Moving on, MLB is targeting July 4th weekend for their return. They want to cut it down to an 82-game season. And then I think 2 extra teams are making the playoffs, they said.
I believe so, yeah.
I think it was 14 teams in total were going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
well, they've approved a proposal to go on to the players union, and basically all that means is the MLB took the ball, gave it to the players, and said, all right, you're going to be the ones to blame if sports don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
And now the pressure's on them to take less money just to help out these people. But take less money. The thing that I think is deeper about that is they lose a year of the contract too.
Yep.
So
that's the big thing too.
They're taking less money to lose. It's not like they're taking less money and they're just like, all right, everyone's contracts are on freeze for a year. You'll get paid this rate for doing this, and then we'll pick up the contracts next year.
Right. Well, and sorry, you finish your thought.
They're just taking away from the plan that they had because there won't be fans, so there can't be a gate. And I get that's how these organizations get their money, but basically they're saying we won't sacrifice anything, so you guys have to sacrifice.
Right. And I was going to say, even with the contracts and the counting as a year played already, that's already a touchy subject because you see a lot of players and a lot of organizations that are ready for that opening day roster, but the organizations would be like, you know what? No, we're going to send you down to the minors for like 4 weeks or whatever it is till that cutoff date so that we basically get you at a cheaper for another year before we have to pay you. And then you see all these cases going to arbitration. You know, it was Chris Bryant, for example, with the Cubs. He had to do that. I think Bryce Harper, when he came up with the Nats, he had to do that. I think Aaron Judge maybe is also one of those candidates. So it's already...
I know they did it to Sanchez.
Yes, my fault. It was Sanchez. So, like, you see, like, you know, a lot of these kids, they're ready to play. They're ready to go. They're ready to make that money. And then the teams are like, we're going to send you down for, like, another couple weeks just so that we don't have to pay you just yet. So it's already a sacrifice that these players have to make.
Yeah, because I don't think their rookie contracts come into play until they play a year in the league.
Right.
Like, they don't kick off.
Right. So they wait like 4 weeks or whatever it is.
Whatever the time frame is.
Yeah, and they'll be...
They can still play them for a full season, basically.
And pay them dilly squat.
And pay them their minor league levels, basically.
Yeah.
I still don't know how they're going to do it with these big organizations. I guess they're saying that it's only people in your division and the only interdivisional play will be the division that's on top of your division. So the American League will play the American League East will play the National League East. The American League West will play the National League West. But other than that, it's just people in your division.
Okay. That's not that bad.
And then that's just to reduce travel. But the only team they're having trouble with is Toronto.
Right. I mean, when you got to go across them country lines and stuff, it gets a little tricky.
No, yeah, Canada already said it's not happening, so they're debating on how they're going to move them, if they're going to have them play in I think they have a United States field somewhere where they can play the Blue Jays.
Probably be either wherever they do spring training at.
I don't know, quite honestly, but so that's the only place where it gets a little murky. But in my opinion, this is just a big show on the MLB's part to be like, hey, we did everything. We did what we need to do. We did, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We want to get sports back for you. It's these dirty players who won't take less money, these goddamn millionaires. even
Right.
though these owners are billionaires. So
Right.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's just a shady move.
It is.
Moving on just to something real quick. Peyton Manning is absolutely hysterical.
Low
just
key, funny dude.
His commercials when he hosted the ESPYs, I think it was. He's just a funny ass dude, and his roasting of Tom Brady in that golf car with in that golf call.
Corny.
Like saying he's on probation for the B&E, can't get him out of Florida. That's the only reason they're playing there. Saying how he'd be more loved than Brady in Boston. He just cooked him.
Oh yeah.
And
he turned that grill on high and was just like, "Hey Tom, come over here. Let me roast you some more and some more. Not done yet. Let me get a couple more shots in real quick."
and don't get me wrong, it was all in good fun. You saw Brady dying.
Yeah.
And can I just say, it's really nice to not fucking hate Tom Brady and just enjoy when he does cool things like this. Now that
Right?
he's not a Patriot anymore.
Right. Tell that to Saint fans.
I'm literally just sitting there, like he got caught in the field. I was just like, oh, don't worry about it. He walks into a random guy's house. It's fine. Why was he at the offensive coordinator's house? You know what? He was there getting his playbook.
Right.
Where if this was the Patriots, I'd be cooking his ass right now.
Oh, of course. You and Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I think this golf tournament's going to be interesting because you have the two really seasoned golf players who have a little reputation for being a little overly competitive,
Mm-hmm.
a la the Michael Jordan style. So especially if like Tom or Peyton starts playing bad. I was listening to one of the ESPN radio shows. I think it was the Alan Hahn Bart Scott show, and they were saying it has to be mic'd up, and I completely agree with that.
I want to hear what they're saying to each other. I want to hear Peyton Manning's commentary. Like, I will buy that on CD. I know they don't sell CDs anymore, but if you put all his commentary from that tourney on the CD, shit, take my money now. I'm buying that.
Yeah, the shit talk will be next level, and I think even from the actual professional golfers, like. But I'm actually pretty excited for that. I probably will watch it, even though I'm not a huge golf watcher. I watch it every once in a while. I enjoy playing it, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, more of that mini golf type, but I'll give it a peek.
When this all opens up, I got a place for you. I can take you golfing, Dev.
You told me about this place. Game on.
Yeah, but moving on. I feel like I've been talking this whole fucking episode because we started with fighting.
This is Chris podcast right now.
I'm sorry. It's just all that happened was fighting this week.
Yeah, I know. This was your wheelhouse.
So I'm going to pass it off to you, Dev. Talk about the GOAT.
The great one. The number 3 or 4 or 5, depending on what year it is. Michael Jordan.
Or
and
9.
The Last Dance. Or 12. How about that one?
Yeah, right? Like, you forget how many numbers this guy has.
Well, side note, the 12 is only came up because someone stole his 23 jersey and the Bulls didn't have an extra one, so they just gave him 12 unnamed. Where he is now, but I would love that. But yeah, so where are we at? It's episode 7 and 8.
Yes.
Well, down. Oh, baseball. That's right. This is the whole time when Mike decides, you know what? I've achieved it all. I'm going to go play baseball. Kind of in honor of his father and like just looking for another challenge. One thing I didn't realize was that in the 92 season, he was prepared to leave the sport of basketball to go play baseball. But being the fierce competitor he is, you know, with Magic having 2 rings I mean, 2 in a row, and Larry having 2 in a row, and doing the dream team, he was like, I gotta get that third. Gotta get something to separate me from them to prove that I'm better than them. And if it was that, 93, 94 would have been off playing baseball for the White Sox. Which, like, holy moly, if he had like a full season and not that strike shortened season, like, you gotta think, would he have made it to the pros? Would he have gotten up there and playing with the big dogs?
From all accounts, yes.
Yeah. Like, I know in his one season in Double A, I think they were saying he hit 202, but he batted 50 runs in, and I think he was top 5 in stolen bases. Like,
He started with a 13-game hitting streak.
right. And, props to him being the fielder that he is, doing BP in the morning when he woke up, going to practice, doing BP after practice, before the game, after the game, just to get better on hitting the breaking ball. Like, just imagine what he could have done with, like, the full season and, like, that work ethic. Like, he could have been right up there, man, hanging out with Ken Griffey and Deion Sanders.
And if it wasn't for the strike, all signs were pointing that he would have kept at it, at least for another couple years. He might have gotten the itch at some point.
Yeah.
But I think the itch for basketball came for him because he wasn't playing baseball.
Right. And props also to him for being a man of his word and not being a scab player and being like, no, I'm a major leaguer. Like, I'm siding with these guys. I'm not crossing that picket line.
Yeah, he could have played. He could have started for the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I was young, the narrative was always pushed that, oh, Jordan failed out of baseball. He only hit a 202. First of all, he's coming in directly to Double A simply because these smaller leagues, like A ball or rookie ball or anything like that, just didn't have the media, didn't have the capabilities to deal with all the media. So they had to put him in Double A ball because it's the only way it would have been physically possible to not disrupt the games and not do anything like that. And he took it in stride. And the fact that he was able to hit 200 on his rookie year, on a shortened season, is actually incredible.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, let's not forget that the man hadn't played baseball since 17, I think. And he was 31 at this point. So you're looking at 15 plus years without playing, like, competitive baseball. And to come in basically cold and hit 202, man, good job.
If you stop playing baseball for a year, any more than a year, if you stop playing any sport for any more than a year, for the most part, they're done with you.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible that not only was he given the opportunity, but he also thrived to the best anyone could have thrived in that situation. Jordan did it. And from everyone who especially the guys like in the clubhouse and the guys he was working with, I think it was Terry Francona.
Yep.
Who said
the Cleveland Indians.
Who straight up said, yeah, if he had the 1,500 at bats like he would have in a regular season, he would have been a major leaguer. He would have been a major leaguer. So that's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah. But side note, going back to the whole number debate. I mean, not debate, the whole number topic, when he came back and was playing against the Magic, rocking the 4-5. I love the story of Nick Anderson after game 1, after he stole it, passed it to Horace Grant, and they won the game. Nick Anderson goes, 4-5 ain't 2-3 anymore. And Horace Grant was just like, dude, don't you say that. Don't say that, man.
Are you stupid?
Right. And Jordan comes back, and you just see the 23, and you knew, damn, I fucked up. because he was out on a
knew he
mission.
fucked up.
Made him look silly. I mean, the Magic won the series, but he made Nick Anderson look pretty silly.
Yeah, but you also have to remember the team he came back on. They were 500.
Yep.
And then they made the moves in later years, in the next year, to get back to the title, and then the next 3 years to keep getting back to the title.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing, basically, the running narrative, at least in the documentary, was the only thing that kept him from going that season was that he just wasn't in basketball shape because he had been playing baseball. He couldn't do the 48 minutes.
Right. So just imagine if he had came back, like if he gave himself more time to get in basketball shape, it would have been over.
That's still just incredible to me. It really is.
What I do like, though, is when he was filming Space Jam in that off season, how he was like, yo, I'll do it, but I need a basketball court. Like, I need to keep training right now. They're like,
we already built you one.
Yeah, and he's like, all right, cool. And then he's calling everybody he knows, like all the prime NBA stars, Patrick Ewing, Lonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Reggie Miller, Dennis Rodman, Horace Grant, be like, hey, what are y'all doing? Why don't you come down here, come to my court, like let's practice, let's shoot some hoops and stuff, play some 5-on-5, and it's just scouting everybody, like kind of evil Michael Jordan being like, yeah, you think we're practicing, we're going to have fun? I'm really scouting you guys so I can whoop all your asses.
And just knew, not only that, but just, I feel like it helped build the confidence that, okay, all this working out I'm doing is paying off. I'm getting back to that level where I can hang with these guys again. And more than just hang with these guys.
Right.
Dominate every single one of them.
Oh, yeah. He was looking to dominate everybody, and he did.
Oh, my God. Just him laughing at Gary Payton talking about that series was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He was just like, fuck a glove, son.
Yo, you good player, but I had other things on my mind, okay? Like, let's be real.
Just the more and more I learn about Jordan, because I thought I knew a lot about Jordan, because growing up, I idolized Michael Jordan. I loved him.
As most kids our age do.
And I was much more into basketball back when I was younger. Not that not that I don't like basketball. It's just I'm not as into it as I was. Getting back there though, but just the more and more I learn about him, the more and more I'm amazed by the man.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only a two-sport athlete, not only made it work, everyone was saying he could have been, at the very least, a serviceable baseball player. Maybe not the Michael Jordan of baseball, but one of your everyday outfielders.
Right.
Which is just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But, got anything else for us today, Dev, or?
No, I think might be it. I mean, me and the Turtles right now, we might have to get ready to go down into sewers and fight, this Shredder character and his foot soldiers. But I think that's probably about it.
Oh my God, Dev. All right. Well, that was episode 7. We are the Basement Boys. See ya.
Deuces.